Welcome to the Recovery from Relapse meeting. Today is Tuesday, the 27th of January. Please welcome Tonia to share, who's going to share their experience, strength, and hope with us. And I now turn the floor over to Tonia.
Thank you, Tricia. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. My name is Tonia G. I'm a grateful compulsive overeater living in recovery by God's grace and mercy. And I'm so grateful to be here and on an Overeaters Anonymous meeting and to be abstinent. I want to just read a quick prayer. And just take a moment of silence for the still suffering compulsive overeater inside the rooms and outside. God, please help me set aside everything I think I know about myself, my spiritual path, my disease, and you, God, for an open mind, a new experience of myself, my spiritual path, my disease, and especially you. God, take me to be taken to a place I've never been and do not know exists. Please release me from up to now, detach me from after now, and allow me to be fully present in the now. Thy will, not mine, be done. Amen. Well, I feel like, and I thank Rita for asking me to share, and thank you for all of your service behind the scenes and keeping us safe. I really believe I was born a compulsive overeater. I started dieting when I was 12 years old, that I remember. And, I thought I knew something was different because when I ate two donuts at the slumber party, the girls' slumber party that I went to, I wanted more. I don't remember anything before I was 8 years old. My dad died when I was 8, and I have a brother that's 7 years younger than me, and so he was little, but when I was born, I don't know if this is true. Obviously, I was a baby. I didn't know. My mother said that I sucked a blister on my hand. So I don't know. She said I was starving, but I don't know if that's true or not, but there was something going on. So I always, and then she told me when my dad and I would go on Saturdays so she could go shopping when I was the only child before my brother came, that he would take me to go get donuts. So imagine that. So, um, so like I said, I started dieting when I was 12. I acted like a crazy fiend. I did dancing. I, was in the dark doing sit-ups because I did anything and everything to do. And I was going to bring pictures, but I didn't have enough time to, but I was a normal weight. I was doing anything and everything to be 100 pounds, drinking liquid diets, I remember writing out a 500 calorie diet, if you will, and taking Dexatrim. If y'all know, I'm 25 forever, wink, wink. But Dexatrim, I don't even know if it's still around. Don't want to know. Thank God. It was basically speed, probably. But I did all these different diets. And, but I kept gaining weight because I would starve myself or, restrict as they call it, and then binge in the afternoon. I was always depressed and down because my dad took his life when I was 8 by suicide. And I kind of, looking back on it, I'm not putting myself down, but I was in that bitter morass of self-pity. Like I felt like my life was over because that happened. And the way I got through it, besides being boy crazy, was just, dieting, trying to fix the outside, because I thought if I could just fix the outside, the inside would be okay. Because I felt so crazy inside in my head and constant anxiety and fear. I was always fearful that my mother would never come home, just like my brother. I mean, my father, my brother. So, but I'm grateful today that I found Overeaters Anonymous. When I was 19, actually went to my first meeting. I think it was 88, and even though I, didn't get it, if you will, and not that I have anything, you know, um, I never. This is the only thing I never stopped coming to. I always went to meetings, whether I was binging in the parking lot, or not. But I found Overeaters Anonymous, and it definitely changed my life. I also got sober. I truly believe my dad was an alcoholic. I come from three lines of alcoholics. His father was an alcoholic and actually admitted himself to treatment. And and the good news is that when he passed away, he had 11 years of sobriety, and that's the miracle. And then my uncle, my dad's brother, got sober, and I also got sober. But the main thing was the food. It was always the food. I always felt like I could fall back on the food, you know. And the things that I drank was sugar, you know, it was sugary. And I basically binged, you know, and all the time. There was never, I didn't understand how people could just eat one or two bites because it would drive me crazy. And if you're a real compulsive overeater, you know what that feels like. I mean, people could be talking at the table, but if that bread or whatever it was on the table that I thought that I wanted, I couldn't hear a thing. You know, I'm also a volume, as they say. So I weigh and measure today, you know. Um, I had friends that were on the dance team, the homecoming court in high school, but I was the biggest girl in the class. Guess my highest weight that I stopped weighing was about 168 pounds. And so yeah, and so I stopped weighing them because I just couldn't take it anymore, you know. And I, one time in high school, I was like, I guess I'm just going to be fat, you know, because I couldn't just keep staying on the diet. I thought cottage cheese, no offense if someone likes cottage cheese, I never want to see cottage cheese ever again, or grapefruit. You know, it was so disgusting, you know. And but I just happened to see a commercial. You know, my mother always tried to help me. She even went on the last diet I went on, you know, with me. And I saw a commercial, and we actually had a treatment center here locally. I live in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. It's the capital city of Louisiana. And at that time, there were, you know, a treatment center for eating disorders. And they showed a commercial. And it was actually a girl, you know, like sitting by a toilet, you know, meaning that she was bulimic and throwing up, which I tried to. Thank God it never worked, because that would be one more, you know, behavior, addictive behavior that I would have to give up, because I hate to throw up. But I knew something was wrong. And I felt like, you know, I always tried to diet through the week. And then it was just like this monster came over me when I would, you know, the first year in college. I was going to prove to my mother that I was going to get through college. And I proved to her about 4 semesters, but I couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't sustain dieting and eating sugar, but I always had to have something sweet. Um, you know, when I found Overeaters Anonymous, I thought I'd hit bottom, but like I said, I continually increase my weight. Again, um, I did not stop going. And I had abstinence as I knew it back then for 7 years. And, but it was for me, okay, this is for me. It was, if sugar was the fifth ingredient, you know, lower than the fifth ingredient on the label, then it was okay. And that's how I knew it, you know. I continued to go to Overeaters Anonymous, and had some control, if you will. Couple years ago, it's been more like 5, because Zoom is what going, 6 years. But I guess about 6 or 7 years ago, I heard about this phone meeting. A gal came from Texas to our local meeting. She was moving back, and she said, I heard about this phone meeting. And we were all like, what is this phone meeting? And so I heard it was a big book study. And you know, the literature is great. You know, I studied the big book about, you know, Alcoholics Anonymous, and OA has some great literature too as well. But this was a solid, solution that I needed to hear. And as they say, I worked, you know, the steps like my hair was on fire. And I thought I had abstinence as I knew it, but every level, every time I tried, to stay abstinent. It was control, but it was also another level of surrender, giving up the sugar, the sweeteners, the this and that, for me. And I weigh and measure. I have a nutritionist that that way, that gives me a food plan. I actually am at a normal body weight. The weight that I was actually dieting to, and drinking liquid diets is my weight today. I can actually go the other end and do, underweight. So I've had to actually contact my nutritionist in the, even I think it was January 13th because I'm under a lot of stress. I have a mother that's passing and right now. And so after this, I will be with her. And it's very challenging. Obviously, I'm the only daughter, and my brother lives out west. So it's me. Thank God for her friends that are going to meet me. And it's the hardest thing I've ever done. I thought going through a
10,
flood in
10
2016.
minutes.
Okay, thank you. And was going to be, but y'all have proved to me that we can go through anything. And it says that in the big book. It says, wife or no wife, job or no job, that, we can get through anything. And that it talks about, and I'm not a big book, scholar, so I don't remember all the pages, especially with no sleep. That it talks about it's in, we can get through anything with a rough going. And so one of the things I love in the acceptance chapter was acceptance is the answer, and that's written by Dr. Paul O, but he talks about basically he didn't want to be, an alcoholic, but if it's okay, basically I just had to learn how to accept. No, I didn't want to be a compulsive overeater, but what am I going to do about it? And again, I thought if I could just control the external, then the internal would be okay. And it was just the opposite. If I work the steps, if I read this big book and go to meetings and sponsor, I didn't realize how much sponsorship is crucial and working these steps and prayer meditation. I can tell you what not to do, right? Not do your 10 steps, not do your do your nightly reviews, not do your get on your knees and pray or whatever, your quiet time is, and be in touch with your conscious contact. So I can tell you everything not to do, but I know that God is carrying me through this and all of y'all. And I truly believe that the fellowship is a, God with skin on. I truly believe that. And so I just want to encourage anyone, whether you've been here 10 minutes or 40 years, please do not give up on yourself because it really does work. And I'm just so grateful to be here. I'm not going to talk the whole time today, but I appreciate everyone being here and allowing me and saving my life. So with that, I'll pass. Thank you so much.